One of my busiest years was 2016. I was studying a theology degree full-time in Canada, a distance learning leadership and management degree part-time in the UK. I had a part-time job as a music director for the college I was a part of. I was part of a touring music team, and I had just started dating the girl that would eventually become my wife. And all of this was at the same time, and it was pretty intense. And I've often been asked how I made it all happen. Well, stick with me if you want to know what worked for me, how I've developed those ideas over the year, and how, hopefully, you can make the absolute most of every minute of your time too. You ready? Let's go. Hi everyone, my name is Dave Betts, and if you're new here, this channel has kind of morphed over the years. Ultimately, I want to create content that helps you to be more effective in what you do, while I strive to be more effective too. Whether that's videography or photography or technology or productivity or leadership or whatever else may come to mind. In this world we're living in, an understanding of a broad range of things has become more important than ever. And ultimately, I'm just a guy on a learning adventure, and if it can help you as well, that's fantastic. What? So I guess while I was trying to balance 2 degrees, a job, investing into a life-changing relationship, well, what did I learn? Well, here are a few simple things that worked for me. Now, I want to say we're not going to dive deep into project management tools and things like that yet. I want to keep this very simple for now, and then we can go deep another time if that's what you're interested in. So, number 1, write every task down, then break it down, then break it down some more. I have to write every task down. I gave up relying on my brain to remember things a really long time ago. Actually, if I don't write it down, it probably won't happen. I remember getting tons of heat for this when I first started my job as a music director, fresh out of music school, and I decided I wanted to be someone that keeps his word. If I say I'm going to do something, I don't want to have to be pestered to do it. I don't want to have to be reminded. I want to be dependable, and dependable people are good to be around, and that's exactly what I want to be. So now I write everything down, and I've used a lot of different apps over the years, but my current favorites are Todoist for specific tasks, or if you're a fan of The Office like me, day-to-day Jim from The Office tasks, and Notion I use for bigger Michael Scott project type tasks, big picture stuff. Most apps really work in a similar way, but I like Todoist because you just throw everything into your inbox super fast, even if you're in a hurry, and then you can kind of sort them later into projects, add due dates, etc. And here's where it's really, really great. Recurring tasks. That was a total game changer for me. It's just a really good system. Now, Notion is epic too, especially for project management and planning and stuff, and you'll actually find that lots of people like to use Notion for everything, but I'm not there yet. I think Notion is good, but there are a few issues that make it kind of unhelpful. If you're interested, again, I'd love to walk through how I use Todoist and Notion in maybe a bit more detail. So do let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. I always love to hear from you. But anyway, let's talk about writing these tasks down. Whatever system you're using, I think they ultimately work best if you break down every task as far as you can. Let me explain. So your task might be something like make a YouTube video. Well, that's okay, but it could be better. You could break down those tasks into things like complete keyword search for productivity video, plan title and key idea, write script, edit script, film B-roll, film A-roll, edit video, publish video. Suddenly you've broken down a fairly nebulous and broad idea into 8 much easier and actionable tasks to complete. Psychologically, this is a really big deal. I mean, we all love ticking those boxes, right? Here are a few more examples. If you need to email someone for information, don't just add email person Y, add receive response from person Y to make sure that it doesn't get eaten by the Ender Dragon and lost for good. Let me encourage you, just write everything down in one centralized place. It doesn't matter what place. I've personally found that digital formats are really good as they go everywhere with me, but you do you, but be specific. You've probably heard of SMART goals, actually. Goals that are specific and measurable, attainable and relevant and timed. Those kinds of goals will transform your life, trust me. Number 2, start early and be consistent. So for the last 7 years or so, I've found that I'm most effective early in the morning. There are fewer distractions, my mind is fresher, and it helps set the tone for the rest of the day. Back then when I was studying, I got up at 5 a.m. every morning to get 2.5 hours of study in before classes, and I found that really helped. Since then, I've experimented with exercising first thing, reading first thing, starting my job early, recording YouTube videos early. Even on weekends, I get up early, although sometimes I'll sleep in till 6, which might sound tough. And to be honest, it was for a while, but your body clock just gets used to it, and then it's all good. The key thing is consistency. A book that really helped me was Dan Pink's book called When, The Scientific Secrets of Perfect Timing. I'm going to link that in the description below, but I really recommend reading that if you want to read more about this stuff. Now most mornings I wake up at 4:45 a.m, which gives me 15 minutes to, hate the world, half an hour to study, half an hour to have breakfast and shower before I start work at 6. I like that. It works for me. And let me be clear. Early starts might not be your jam, but they might be. If you can push through that horrendousness and get used to those early starts, it really does get slightly easier. I promise you. And if not, that's okay too. You might be more of a night owl, but for me, this was a total game changer. Number 3, plan like a boss. In order to make time for everything, I had to plan everything. And I don't just mean have a vague plan in my head, I mean write it down. Even when I would rest, people used to laugh at me because I used to have planned spontaneous time in my calendar, which I admit seems kind of ridiculous. But it was just a ring-fenced time to do whatever I wanted, really. And although it seems counterintuitive, taking time out of your busy schedule to actually plan your busy schedule makes a massive difference. Back when I was studying, every Sunday I would look at my master task list, and using a notes app, I would write down all the tasks that needed to be completed that week and obviously beyond. And then I would assign rough time estimates to each task. And then I'd look at my calendar and I'd figure out, well, how much time did I have to complete those tasks each day? Does that make sense? Well, let me maybe show you in an example. It might look something like this. So let's say I've already looked at my master task list and I've assigned times to those upcoming tasks. I see that on Monday, I'm actually free to work on those tasks between 11 and 12 and 3 and 5 and maybe 7 and 9 p.m. for a total of 5 hours. So I'd list those hours into my notes app, and then I'd find 5 hours worth of tasks to assign to Monday, which is often straightforward, but sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, right? You might need to break down a big task, something like research for a paper, which could be, that could be as much as 16 or even 50 hours. Break that down into more manageable chunks. So, in this example, maybe I'll assign that for 2 hours. And once I've done that, I'll assign the tasks to fill the space, and then I do that for the rest of the week. That way I was good to go. Simple, right? But there are 2 things that are worth mentioning here, I think. Firstly, if you're doing this, make sure that you schedule in time for rest. You might think that you're being more productive if you're working every waking hour there is, but scientifically you're not. Studies show that this is just not the case. Again, check out Dan Pink's book for more information on that because it's so good. So make sure you actually plan to rest. That's really important. Secondly, recognize that you have no idea what your week will look like in actuality. If you plan meticulously on the Sunday like I do, recognize that things might come up. You'll probably have to just adjust every single day the night before and maybe even on the fly as well. And that's okay. These things happen, but at least this way you're ready for it. 5 years on, my planning has changed. I don't use my notes app anymore, but I do use Notion and my calendar to obsessively chunk blocks of time and deadlines. And after almost a decade of working this way, I'm getting pretty good at estimating how much time a task will take, but I'm always trying to learn and improve how I do it. Number 4, ditch the distractions. We are so easily distracted. Social media is an absolute killer for distracting you from doing your best work. We know that, right? But how do you avoid it? Well, here's what I've had to learn over the years. Firstly, I've had to get rid of all of my notifications. You just don't need to know when someone has liked your post or sent you a message. Why? Because very, very rarely do you need to respond right away. Maybe for you, it would work better to use the do not disturb feature on your phone. Maybe you need to delete apps if you have to. Just do whatever it takes. You consider the Pomodoro technique. This is a system where you work intensely for a set period of time, and then you take a short break. After a few of those short breaks, you take a longer break. Most people set their timers for 25 minutes. Some people do it for 55. Personally, I prefer 55 as it gives me time to really focus before taking a break, but use whatever works for you. Again, taking a break is a good thing. You might lose 5 minutes of actual work time, but that means the time that you are working is much more effective. And again, there's a ton of apps out there for this, but consider pomofocus.io. It's pretty simple and it's free, and I find it really helpful. Finally, keep the goal in mind. I find that I can easily get bogged down or bored or distracted when I forget the why behind the what. When I was studying, I had to remind myself of what a privilege it was to be able to take schooling at 25. What an opportunity it was to be able to study 2 degrees at once. Now, my goal is remembering that I want to make the most of my time so that I can maximize my family time and build a great life for those guys. Keeping the goal in mind helps you see past the frustrations and the boredoms and all that stuff that goes with the task, and it helps keep you honest and diligent. Again, I want to recommend a few books that I found really helpful in this area of learning. Deep Work and Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, 12 Ways Your Phone is Changing You by Tony Rokey, and Atomic Habits by James Clear. Again, I'll link those in the description below. Please read them, they're so good. So there you go. I hope these tips will help you to become your most effective and productive self. These are the things that for me made a huge difference. Writing every task down, then breaking that task down into more actionable steps. That's a really helpful thing. Start early, be consistent. I know those are 2 kind of things, but I found that they really helped. 3, plan like a boss. 4, ditch the distractions. Those things made a huge difference. Now, this is a topic I'm really passionate about, and although it's not traditionally been a core focus of this channel, I really would love to talk about it more in the future if you're interested. Right now, I'm not studying 2 degrees, but I'm balancing helping to lead a church, running a weekly podcast, building this YouTube channel, reading at least 1 book a week, writing a book, reworking my music theory course, building a website for this channel, being a husband as well as a dad to a 2-month-old, and preparing to start a part-time master's in theology. So there's a lot going on. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I have to make the most of my time as well. There is so much going on, and I know that in your worlds as well, there is so much going on. That's the nature of the world we live in. So we have to use our time well, right? As always, I love to learn from you. So if you have any tips or suggestions that you would add, let me know by leaving a comment, and do let me know if you'd like more content like this. I really appreciate your inputs and your insights. Otherwise, you know the deal. If you would consider liking and subscribing to this channel, liking this video and subscribing to this channel, I guess I'd be really grateful. I really genuinely appreciate it. I read every comment, and I appreciate every view. I don't take it for granted. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world, have an amazing and effective day, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.